Welcome back to the Hill Update. Joining me on the show today is Richard Bragdon, MP for the beautiful province of New Brunswick. And one of the things Pierre was asked at the end of that last clip was what would he cut? So let's listen to the video because he did respond in the House of Commons. Let's hear the video.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, after 8 years, this Prime Minister is just not worth the cost. And what would I cut? I'd start with the $54 million ArriveCan app that is now under police investigation. And then I'd get rid of the $35 billion infrastructure bank that pays bonuses but hasn't completed a single infrastructure project, Mr. Speaker. And why don't we throw in the $100 million plus contracts to McKinsey, a company that helped cause the opioid crisis. But speaking of all the waste that he forces on Canadian taxpayers, when it comes to the ArriveCan app, which is now under police investigation, he covered up a previous bad behavior under SNC Lavalin. Will he at least cooperate with the RCMP investigation into the ArriveCan app?
Le très honorable Premier ministre.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Once again, we see the Conservatives are all about cuts, not about investing and building a stronger future. The reality is, I recommend, Mr. Speaker, that the Leader of the Opposition take a ride on the great REM in Montreal that the Canadian Infrastructure Bank helped build, which has helped thousands of Canadians see being part of the future in a responsible way. We're going to continue to build a stronger future for Canadians by making the right investments, by keeping fiscally responsible, by staying away from the kinds of cuts that the Conservatives continue to put forward.
Looks like we have a few options there for cuts, so it sounds like the leader has some ideas.
Oh, absolutely. And our leader's been doing a great job on laying out an alternate vision for the country in where we can go as a country and take advantage of our natural resources that we're blessed with in abundance here in Canada, and not put in place these regulatory hurdles that hamper growth and development. For example, Bill C-69, the No Pipelines bill that they tried to impose on the provinces and on Canada, that was going to be a huge detriment to investment from outside industries and industries within Canada to grow and develop our resources. I'm glad Mr. Poilievre is saying no to that. And he's coming up with a vision of having more things constructed here in this country, develop our own natural resources and get good Canadian energy to world markets and prosper and grow our economy that way. Whereas this current Prime Minister, Dean, look what he's done. He has doubled the national debt in less than 8 years. That's more debt than all other prime ministers combined from Sir John A. Macdonald through Stephen Harper. That is inexcusable and puts an unbelievable weight on the Canadian economy and obviously in direct correlation, the Canadian people.
Well, let's talk a bit about C-69 since you raised it. There was a lot going on this week on the House of Commons. I mean, first we did have the ruling for the Supreme Court saying that the bill was unconstitutional. And then a majority of top court agreed that the acts were for designated project schemes that exceeded the bounds of federal jurisdiction. So once again, what you talked about in terms of that. So now we have that the government has said that they really don't care what the Supreme Court has to say. So just some comments on that.
Absolutely. Again, a disconnected government that just runs roughshod over common sense. They're very ideological. And they've got an activist environment minister right now who's very much ideologically driven and obviously doesn't feel like he's confined by even what the Supreme Court has ruled to be unconstitutional. That is to the detriment. When you had 9 out of 10 provinces saying Bill C-69 impugned their provincial area of jurisdiction, it was a violation of their provincial rights. What you've got is you've got a government that's way overreaching time and time again into areas of provincial jurisdiction. And rather than working with provinces collaboratively to position Canada to prosper in a time when the world wants more Canadian energy and Canadian fuel and Canadian technology and Canadian food, what are they doing? They're putting the boot on the backs of our producers, on the backs of our farmers, on the backs of our energy workers, on the backs of the Canadian people who are just trying to make a good livelihood for their families and to give their children a better future than what they've experienced. Right now, that seems so distant for so many who can't even afford to even dream about having a home at this point.
We got about 15 seconds left. So quickly, you feel they're going to try and follow through with that?
Yeah, it seems like the government is still bent on pushing against any pipeline construction, any energy development, because they're so married to this ideology. It seems like they're really pushing ahead, despite what the
Hold
Supreme
that
Court
thought.
has ruled.